Hey, this is Meredith Elliott Powell, and welcome to another episode of Thrive, the show where we dive into the strategies, discuss the steps, everything that you need to know to turn all of this uncertainty into a major competitive advantage. I'm hanging out today in the Delta Lounge. I had a bit of a delay on a flight, talk about uncertainty, but super excited to be welcoming my guest, Linda Swindling. Folks, if for a few of you out there that do not know Linda, there's a couple of things that you need to understand. I think of her as the guru of negotiation, and she's actually been named top 30 global gurus in that area. She's a TEDx speaker, and we know each other through the National Speakers Association. Linda has spoken all over the world and is really the foremost master when it comes to learning how to get what you really want, how to thrive through negotiation. So welcome to the show, Linda.
Thanks so much for having me.
Well, I am excited. This has been a long time coming. So
Yes.
kind of give the folks an overview, those who don't know you in the audience, how you got into negotiation. Why did this become your passion?
Right. Well, I was an attorney and I practiced for 10 years and went through mediation training. And, before that, I had been a reporter and did broadcast journalism. And guess what? The thing that I did best out of all of that was negotiate. So I asked a lot of questions. I had a lot of conversations like a lot of your listeners do, a lot of your viewers do. And somehow I worked with a business coach and she and I worked together for a year. And she finally said, I don't get it. We've tripled your practice. You're spending more time with your family. You're seeing your friends that you wanted to see. Why aren't you happy? And as we started kind of unpacking that, it was, well, I just like doing this piece of it, this teaching people, this helping people, this, writing on it. And she goes, you can make a living doing that. And so I started working together and the big deals that I had accomplished and the cases that I had settled, actually that translated really well to the corporate world, to the nonprofit world, to ask for more and, also prevent those lawsuits I didn't like.
Yeah. So what does it mean? What does negotiation really mean? And why does it make people uncomfortable to think about
Right.
negotiation? In all the years that I have been working and training teams, one of the biggest failures has always been the ability to negotiate. I mean, we just want to give everything away or give in and kind of get it over with, right?
Sometimes, and sometimes we want to maintain a relationship or we feel like it's rude. A lot of us have been brought up not to negotiate, not to ask for things. And what's really funny is when we did our research, and you know this, I do original research, the only thing that people said with their background, besides maybe education or religious training or their parents, was something like, I'm a woman. And so I wasn't taught to negotiate. And that's a myth. Did you know that? Negotiation is not this terrible swear word. When you explain to people, all it is you're going to ask them some questions. They're going to ask you some questions, and you're going to see if there's a fit there, if you can make things work. All of a sudden, people go, oh, is that it? That's really it? It's like, yeah. The problem is, Meredith, we hold back, until the big negotiation, our raise, our performance appraisal, the big contract we're negotiating. So we're not used to using that muscle. We're not used to practicing. So if you practice more and you start doing it all the time, then it feels the same. It feels exactly the same as a multi-million dollar deal. The same thing as going up to a store owner and asking them to take a coupon that's expired. Promise you, it feels the same.
So negotiation is something that we should be doing constantly in our everyday lives.
Always live in the question is what they taught us in mediations training was, live in the question. What, how would that look? What would that look like? Could we do this? Just be very open-ended in asking things and just see how it feels. And the thing is, it gets to be that muscle that gets used all the time. You don't even know you're doing it. Now, my family will kind of stand to the side and go, oh no, she's doing it again. But over time, we've kind of trained them. That's part of what we have to do here.
So in other words, negotiation partly is just being curious.
Wonderfully to describe being curious and being okay with yourself that if you hear something you didn't want to hear, you're okay. So I can tell you why people don't ask if you want to know, because that's a
I do.
secret. Yeah. There's several reasons. One is they don't want to bug somebody. They don't
Yeah.
want to overwhelm them, right? They don't want to use the wrong words. They don't want to embarrass themselves. I think all of that kind of falls under that. And then
Mhm.
here's the biggest one. You ready? They don't want to hear the word no.
No.
No. That's nuts. Why wouldn't you want to hear the word no? Because then at least you KNOW. You KNOW. And I tell you that the secret behind that too, Mara, is they don't ask that next question, which was, I heard you say no. Shows that you were listening. I heard you say no. Can you tell me about that?
Mhm.
And then just be quiet, because sometimes the other side doesn't KNOW something. They may not know about your expertise. They may not know that you offer something else. They may not know that you're not trying to just deliver a whatever you're showing them. You have so many different options. And the other side is you don't KNOW. You don't know what their real objection is. Or you might find out that this is not the person you need to be talking to. They don't have what you need. And they're not going to be able to give it to you. So now you're spending time instead of just coming up with your idea in your head as you walk off.
You know, I'm really kind of fascinated by that. I want to get into your book, Ask Outrageously, but I want to stay on this theme a little bit
Sure.
about just starting small. What is our issue with the word no? And is that sort of bred into us? Because I think about, like, I was watching a little girl when I was boarding the plane today, and there's just, they just live life with no abandonment.
Right.
Just grabbing at anything they want, asking for anything they want, having any emotion they want to have in the moment. Is it sort of bred out of us over time?
For some people. Some
Yeah.
people are master requesters. Probably you're one of them. My son is. They never heard the word no. My son would ask for anything. I think I've told you, I lost him at a pizza restaurant one time, looked around frantically. There he was sitting with another couple and their son about his age. And when I went up and introduced myself and asked who everybody was, they said, "Oh, no, we don't know Parker. He just said that his mom was talking too much and he was hungry. Could he have some pizza?" This was at 5 or 6. You know, some people just live there. I think you're probably one of them. The rest of us, though, we put these standards on ourselves. We want to be perfect. Have you ever heard practice makes perfect? And then somebody says,
Absolutely.
no, no, it's got to be perfect. Practice makes perfect. Well, that's a bunch of baloney. I mean, give me a break. Really? How are you ever going to get good at it if you don't just practice? And kids don't care because they don't have
Yeah.
this filter. Oh, you're going to look stupid. Well, who cares? Everybody
Right.
looks stupid at 3, 5,
Right.
whatever it is.
Yeah. So, talk a little bit about your book. I mean, Ask Outrageously. Now we're going to the other side of the pendulum, right? I mean, we're going from just practicing in these little bits to really going for and asking what you want, which I think is so important if you want to thrive in uncertain times. One of the things that I really find between people who are successful and people who aren't is that people are successful, go for it. They connect with people they don't know, they ask for things, they try things. I mean, risk and failure they embrace as part of the process. So, where does negotiation and asking outrageously fit into that?
Well, asking outrageously is not asking obnoxiously.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
And so that was, yeah. And a lot of people, I think, they say, oh, no, you mean being rude, or no, don't be obnoxious. Just ask for outside your comfort zone. So, what is a little bit more you could ask for? What's a little bit less? And back to that practice, you do it at work as well. And here's the thing, there are so few things you're going to ask for that nobody's ever heard of. Honestly, honestly, they've heard it all. Everyone has heard it all. So, when you ask, they're like, yeah, we haven't. Oh, no, I guess we did do that. And you'll see them kind of think to themselves. The other thing is, we're conditioned to not waste resources, not make mistakes, even at work. And so some of us have been shut down because somebody got on to us for asking. They got on to us for saying something that we shouldn't have. And you've got to kind of erase that, because that person's gone, or maybe if you start asking, you could get promoted above that person, right?
Right.
And you can start dealing with other people. So that's kind of the principle. That the thing that you're saying, though, 65% of us don't ask for ourselves. We'll ask for other people. So we'll be risk takers for a nonprofit or for someone who's older or a child. We'll be more than our team. We'll be more than happy to ask for them. It's not asking for ourselves at work. It's not asking for ourselves out in the world. So there is a workaround around that. Would you like to know what the secret on that one is?
Yeah, I would like to know, because I do think that it is, I've especially found that working with women and working with women in sales. They'll be like, I don't want to bother people, but you put their child in the hospital and they'll call the head of surgery without hesitation.
In a heartbeat.
So,
right.
in a heartbeat. And so what is that mindset flip? Because if you do not learn to find your voice and ask for what you want, most of what you need is going to pass you by.
Exactly. Here's the thing. Go ahead and think to yourself, well, if I raise my hand in this boardroom, if I speak up in this boardroom, who besides myself is benefiting? Well, probably everybody around the table to hear you ask a stupid question. So many times people say, thank goodness somebody asked that question, right? Or you could have the experience I did in law school. I raised my hand and everyone went, oh, she's so stupid. And the professor said, I'm so glad you brought that up. That is a perfect question. So it could be that. It could be people could see you start asking for yourself and they go, well, maybe I need to ask for myself. If you get a promotion, guess what? People backfill for you. They get promoted. If you get a little extra vacation time, maybe your family gets to experience that. But here's the big one. You said it right on the money. I don't want to bother people. I don't want to sell to them. What's the competition? So if your competition has a lesser service or a lesser product, you're doing your potential clients a disservice if you don't ask. If you don't say to them, look, I have the best thing out there. Let me ask you a couple of questions and see if it's a fit. Then all of a sudden things change. And once you learn the real issues, you can say, yeah, we're not a fit, or, oh my gosh, not only are we a fit, there's 2 other things I want to tell you about that I think will help you. And that's the issue, is we don't value ourselves sometimes or what we're offering enough. And if your competition has a much better solution, why aren't you working for the competition?
Right.
Right?
Yeah, such a great point. I mean, if you believe in it. So asking is part of it. Where does the negotiation come in?
Good. I think people prepare and then don't take the question and ask. But the negotiation piece is, it's the prep and then it's the closing. The in between is the conversation. So the prep is asking first yourself, and then there's a real easy acronym. Ask, what are you aware of? What do you need to seek more information about? And what do you know, not the solution, but what do you know is your next best step, your next best question? So to get aware of what you're going into prep with is, what do I want? What are the good reasons? Why? And then, is it really worth my time and effort to go after this? So that's kind of prepping you to go in there. And then make a list of everything you want. Here's what the list makers always ask me. The list makers always say, well, how do I prioritize? What's a must have and what's a like to have? What's an option? What's an essential? The secret on that is circle your top 5. Circle your top 5 to 7 that the deal would fail without having those things. Everything else is an option. But then people stop. They know what they want and they stop. Right. Which is crazy. What they need to do is then reverse it, 180 it. Okay, for every single stakeholder I'm going to be negotiating with, ask those same questions. I wonder what they want. Why? What are their good business reasons for getting it? And is it really worth their time and effort to deal with me, to deal with what we're giving? Now then, totally, you're already more prepared than most people.
Right.
Already more prepared. Then trickle it down, not just the person I'm dealing with, not just Meridith, but maybe Meridith's board of directors, maybe Meridith's service providers are going to have to provide the service she's selling. Who besides Meridith is going to be involved? Who besides this party you're talking to? What's in it? And we all hear that, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? We're all listening to the radio dial, WIIFM. Turn it up, Okay, give me a break. What's in it for them? Just turn the dial to what's in it for them, for each of the stakeholders. Now you're prepared. Now, there's all sorts of other research you can do. You can look at past deals. You can look at what they've done in the past. But the best way to figure out what they really, really want is to ask them.
So agreed.
So easy,
Yeah.
but we don't.
Years ago, back when I was a banker, we had one of our very best customers threaten to leave the financial institution because he was dealing with one of our loan officers. He wanted to borrow X amount of money and we wouldn't approve it for him. And I went and met with them, and it was really interesting because when we asked him why he wanted that amount of money, it was only because a competitor had come in there and offered it to him. And he wanted to see if we would do the same thing. Now, loaning him and exposing him financially was not good for his business. And when we backed up and explained everything to him and then just made the loan amount that he wanted, everything was fine. So I really don't want to lose sight of what you are saying is so powerful. So often we ask for things or we go for things and we don't understand either our why behind them or the why of what the person we're negotiating. Maybe they don't really even want that.
Right. And the why, people just kind of cringe when they hear that word why. So, it's a teenager word. Why do you
Yeah.
want it? Why? Kind of a mother parent kind of thing. So just change that word why to what are the good reasons you want it. Now there's more than one reason. And now they don't just say, well, because, or somebody else. Dig down. And then, as well as I do, you can't stop with what they say. Say, so what does that allow for? Okay. So if you get this loan at this amount, what does that bring you? And how does that affect your business going forward? And what's your thinking around how that's going to change your credit rating, whatever it is, right? What are you doing? And as you dig down, you find out that the answer, the easy answer they told you is not the real issue for them.
Right.
And you might have something, I call them no-brainers. So many times a deal, a big negotiation hinges on things that cost us very little. Sometimes it's just information. Sometimes it's just assurance. Sometimes it's just, well, let's put this off for 30 days, whatever it is. Sometimes it costs nothing.
Yeah.
But you don't get to it until you get down into give me more about that. Ooh, that's interesting, and ask them, be genuinely curious, as you've said.
I think that I love this idea of starting small and just using negotiation in every aspect of your life. But far too often, we're in front of a CEO or a figure of authority and we sort of lose our nerve. What's your advice there?
Well, I think the CEO, the key stakeholder, the decision makers, there's something about us I don't know whether it's authority or what it is, but we kind of hold ourselves back. So, and I get this often, women and young people or people from other countries, right? They're like, well, what does the CEO care about me or decision making? No, here's the thing. The CEO, the decision maker, the key stakeholder, they are giving you their most valuable possession, their most valuable asset that they have, their most valuable resource. And it is not their money. It's their time, right?
Yeah.
It's their time. So when a CEO, a key decision maker says, tell me more about that, your job is not to go, I'm so scared. Your job is to say, well, I wonder why I'm here. I'm young. Why are they talking to me? Let's figure out the solution, because CEOs do not waste time. They don't waste their precious, valuable asset unless there's something. Now, it might just be a good feeling of helping somebody out, but there's probably something that you have or they wouldn't be listening to you.
So, are there different styles of negotiation? I mean, are there different tactics we should take? And what are we looking for in that conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. A lot of us have taken a disc or a Myers-Briggs or a profile or a core map, and we're a color, we're a shape. Here's the thing. All of those can be translated into basically 4 types and we need to be fluent in all of them. One is decide. If you think of a card deck and you think of the shapes on the cards, if you think of the spade, it's like, get to the point, isn't it? It's very pointy. So decide what the people who like to decide in negotiations, they want very short bullet points. They want to be asked questions. You can politely challenge their answers. I've even said, I'm going to challenge that. If it's okay with you, I'm going to challenge that. And they're like, oh, debate. And they actually believe you more if you debate. Then you have those engage. And if you can think of a diamond, like a diamond ring, an engagement ring, they're not to the point like the decide people. People who like to engage are going to want to have a discussion with you. They're going to take, what you're saying. They're going to want you to listen to their creative ideas. And you're crazy if you don't listen to them, because they are not flighty like some people think. They're actually the person that can help tell your story later to the people that matter. Now, here's the one that gets run over a lot: people who accommodate. So if you think of that big heart, they're the ones that want everyone to win, everyone to succeed. And the problem with being an accommodate is sometimes you don't feel like you're being taken seriously. And if you don't take that person seriously and they go, oh, they're just a gatekeeper. Oh, no. Decides and people who like to accommodate often or make really good matches as far as business, because the decide people will go to those people with the hearts and say, what were they really like? What'd you pick up that I didn't pick up? And if you're not polite to everyone or you try to go around them, you're going to burn yourself. And then the last one is another one that we kind of poo-poo or kind of roll our eyes. You've heard of them being called sensitive, or they're not, they're organizational or whatever. No, these are your clubs. Think about in that suit, they manage 3 or 4 or 15 different things well. So these are the leverage people who like to leverage their information, their relationships, their details. And they're the people, don't just run over them with, here's our solution. Unlike the decide with 2 or 3 choices you choose, decide people are going to need time to, leverage people need time to think. They also need time to kind of question, because they want the right answer over getting it done. Instead of saying, well, here's the new thing, say, I know you've looked at this several ways. I know you already have a system. This, I believe, would be an upgrade, but I'm interested in your thoughts. I'm interested in how we work this into what you've already done. So don't toss out that good information you know about communication styles when you're negotiating. Remember that people like to do that. And if you're starting to face some roadblocks, you've probably hit on something that's either an opposite for you or something you don't have as much of, or maybe it's even your same style. Yeah. So if you start hitting roadblocks, go, I wonder what else I could do. I wonder if I need to help somebody make more decisions. I need to be more decisive. I wonder if I need to be more engaging. I need to really kind of talk about the impact on people. Or I really wonder if this is kind of that leverage one, right? With the 3, I wonder if I need to have them give me more about their information before I keep showing up and throwing up on them.
Yeah, I remember years ago when I had clients who were very opposite my personality. Until I understood it, it made me really uncomfortable. Giving somebody time to process and to think felt like rejection to me, or shut down. And it didn't. It was truly engagement, right? Now they're interested, so they want some time to process and some time to think. And to be able to recognize that is really powerful.
I had I was working with a really high level sales team, and they were doing their big sales conference, and there a bunch of them were in the room, and probably the second in charge of the whole company raises his hand. He said, I don't think you're listening, people. Said, stop, Linda, stop right now. And I went, wow, all these 100 plus people, stop. And I was like, oh no, what did I do? He said, you're not listening, team. All right. And he pointed out to the top 3 salespeople, and he goes, person that you sold the most to, your personality or a different kind? Your sales, negotiation type or different kind? She said, different kind. The one behind her said, yeah, extremely different. The third one said, totally different than I am. He said, my point exactly. Continue. And I went, wow, that's insight.
Yeah. Well, it is hard to believe, but we are coming to the end of our show. I always end with 2 questions, and you can answer them either way. Number 1, if people want to find out more about you, more about your books, I'm getting ready to put the link up here, more about how they negotiate effectively, how they find out about you, and your best piece of advice for business owners, sales professionals, leaders today to thrive in an uncertain marketplace.
Terrific. So the way to find out more about me is to go to lindaswindling.com. And you can go to my bookstore and get all that good stuff at lindaswindling.com. Or for your listeners and your viewers, because you and I are friends, you can do the text that I do for my clients.
Great.
What you do is you just text 55444 and text the word ask, ASK to it. So 55444, and then text the word ASK. It'll ask you for your email and give you some bonus tips, some free resources.
Nice. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And then my piece of advice, well, nobody is going to look out for you like you are. This is a big journey, this career that we're trying to do. Our life is all about trying to move ahead. And if that's really true for you, and it is, isn't it? You've got to ask for yourself. Nobody's going to do it for you. Start asking. Ask outrageously. You're going to be shocked at the results. I promise. That's it, Mayor.
This has been amazing. Thank you so much. I hope you will. I feel like we've scratched the surface, so I hope you will agree to come back on at another time when we can dig in a little bit deeper to some of the things, because I do think negotiation is a missing skill, a missing art, but such an important, especially in a world that has gotten so busy. It's so easy for you to be passed over. So I really want to encourage my listeners to go and text 55444, text the word ask, get some of those bonuses. Visit lindaswindling.com. Ramel, you are so welcome, and we will see you all back here for another episode, another set of skills and strategies, everything that you need to know to turn all of this uncertainty into your competitive advantage. See you next time.